Good morning. My name is Howard Von Ruden. I'm from Cashton, Wisconsin. I'm a wood carver, have been since the early 1970s. That's my primary passion. My secondary passion is radio-controlled airplanes, which I also build and fly. In the mornings, when I come down to my shop, I decide what do I want to make or what do I have to make. And usually it is what I want to do today. I get my patterns from a pattern maker in Amer, Wisconsin. He gives me a top view and a side view. Now when I transfer these patterns to my wood, I trace the top view of the duck onto the wood as such, and I also trace the side view of the duck onto the wood, and occasionally I make corrections. Notice I add a little bit to the bottom of the pattern that makes the body higher, more bulky. And also notice that the heads are all cut out separately, and also the eyes, I use an awl to punch a hole where the eye will be, and the head will be glued on separately later. This is how I get my wood from the sawmill. It's rough sawed, 2, 3, and 4 inches thick, and I have some ducks traced on here. The patterns have been traced. They're in red ink. They may not be visible, but I have actually 4 mallards and 4 geese outlined on here. This is how they all start. The next step in the process of creating my carving would be to cut out these individual 4 ducks from this block, and then they'll end up something like this, and the next step will be cutting it out on the bandsaw. These are my primary power tools. This is my Black & Decker bandsaw, my 5-volume dust collector, which is very important, and also I have a belt sander on the end for sanding the heads and the bodies, and the bottom of the bodies, and also one more that I use outside because it creates a lot of dust. Is a sanding wheel on the motor that really smooths the bodies of the ducks. Okay, now I'm at the bandsaw, and I will cut this piece out. First, eye protection, ear protection. It's going to be noisy. Here's a vacuum. Cut from the front, part way and back out, and also on the back I'll cut up almost to the edge, back out, almost to the edge and back out. Then I will cut my profile on these lines, on the side line. I have the body cut out. Now I will cut out the head. I will cut out the profile first, and then I'll cut the width. Okay, now I have what's called a blank. It's cut out, it's ready to be sanded. I have to sand it on the bottom to make it smooth. I have to sand the neck joint on the body, the neck joint on the head, and the sides of the head. Now to my belt sander. After it's all sanded on the belt sander, the bottom is nice and smooth. The neck joint is smooth. The neck joint on the head is smooth. I also sanded the sides of the head to make the head the correct width. Now what's required is to drill the eye hole for the eyes. And what I do is take an awl and take my wood awl and go right through the eye hole on the pattern and indent where I will drill the hole for the eye. The next step goes to the drill press to drill the eye hole. Okay, the eye hole is straight through. That'll be a step down the line yet. Okay, I have my block sanded. The next stage will be to make this appear somewhat finished, as this loon is, rounded, sanded. So the next step will be to carve off the corners, make it round. My first carving instructor kept saying, make it round, make it round. The first thing I do is to trace on the bottom of the carving where I want, how much wood I want to take off. Because if you see there's a flat spot there, nature has no straight lines. Nature does not like flat spots. So we will, this is all the wood I want to take off from the bottom. And on the side, this is where the tail feathers will be. And this will be a male mallard, so he needs a little curl of tail feathers right about there. Now the head, I draw a line down the center of the beak, and the beak will be about this wide on both sides. Now from the top, from the beak almost to the eye hole, draw a line, and all this wood has to be removed. See how it's nice and round? Well, getting there. Same thing on the back side. One thing I've learned over the years, always to have sharp tools. And to have sharp tools, you need to have a good sharpening equipment. Now tools, sharp tools, if you put them under the light and if you see a line on the edge, it usually means they're dull. And the best way to test for me is to see if they're sharp or not is when you make a cut. If it's a nice clean cut, there's no little jagged lines, it means you got a nice sharp edge. And also to test it on your thumbnail. If you poke your finger, poke the chisel into your thumbnail, if it sticks, that's a good thing. That means your chisel's sharp. Okay, I've got about 5 minutes into this carving, and people ask me all the time, how long does it take to do this one or that one? And I honestly don't know, because I've never timed myself in any one carving from start to finish. Sometimes I will do 2 or 3 at a time, and I'll get them to a certain step and decide I want to do something else for the rest of the day, and then I'll do that for the rest of the day. After about an hour, this one will be pretty much shaped with the chisels. Then from the chisels, I go on to different tools. And I can show you right here, these are microplanes. They are made to grate cheese. They're stainless steel. And I've got all kinds of them here. They work great for smoothing out the surface of the carving. I've got another carving here that is just about ready for this. Now this is all chisel marks, and as you can see, it's still rough yet. But I will put this one aside for a minute and start with the Start with I cut this one off because eventually the little stainless steel teeth do get dull, so I just cut them off and throw them away. But it's simply it takes off a little bit at a time. Just makes things smooth. Let's see if I get a little more bite on it. There we go. When the carving is smooth, the growth rings should be not straight, but it shouldn't have too many lines in where they go, like right here. That's they should almost disappear.